Good afternoon. This is Akashvani and I'm Naresh Mago with the midday news. The headlines. Iran condemns US military attack on its nuclear facilities as a grave violation of international law and United Nations Charter. International Atomic Energy Agency to hold an emergency meeting tomorrow in the light of urgent situation in Iran. Says as of now there has been no rise in radiation levels following US airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Israel and Iran exchange fresh missile attacks on each other. Sri Lanka and Nepal thank Indian government for assisting in evacuating their nationals from Iran under Operation Sindhu. NIA arrests 2 persons for harbouring terrorists involved in Pahalgam terror attack. And in cricket, England to resume their first innings at the overnight score of 209 for 3 at Headingley this afternoon. Iran has strongly condemned the US military attack on its nuclear facilities, calling it a grave violation of international law and the United Nations Charter. The Iranian Foreign Ministry labeled the strike a brutal act of aggression and held the United States fully responsible for the consequences. In a statement released hours after the US strike, Iran accused the US of acting in coordination with Israel, which Iran described as a genocidal regime. It claimed the attack targeted peaceful nuclear sites that are under the supervision of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. Meanwhile, Iran executed its most significant missile barrage of the year against Israel early this morning as part of Operation True Promise 3, targeting Ben Gurion Airport, biological research centers, and command and control facilities. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps confirmed the strikes were launched in response to the recent US and Israeli airstrikes on Iranian territory, marking a dangerous escalation in the ongoing West Asian conflict that has now entered its second week. Here are more details from our West Asia correspondent.
At least 23 people were wounded by Iranian missiles in Haifa. Israeli officials report at least 18 Iranian missiles penetrated Israel's missile defense systems, representing what sources describe as the highest percentage of successful hits this year. Iranian missile barrage consisted of approximately 30 ballistic missiles, according to Israeli defense sources. The Israeli Air Force has launched immediate retaliatory strikes against military targets in western Iran, with officials confirming that they targeted missile launches that were prepared to launch additional projectiles towards Israeli territory. Israeli forces also struck Iranian armed forces personnel and successfully neutralized the launchers responsible for the morning missile attacks against Israeli cities. The risk of a full-scale regional war in West Asia is growing rapidly as tensions between Iran, Israel, and the United States threaten to spiral out of control. The fallout will not be limited to the battlefield. Economic disruption on a global scale is seen as a near certainty if the hostilities escalate further. Vinod Kumar for Akashvani News from Dubai.
The Strait of Hormuz, a vital artery for the world's oil and natural gas, could be closed or partially blocked, causing oil prices to surge dramatically and triggering inflation across major economies. Global supply chains would also suffer, with shipping routes through the Red Sea and Persian Gulf rendered unsafe. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, will hold an emergency meeting tomorrow in light of the urgent situation in Iran, according to the chief of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi. In a social media post today, Grossi said he is calling an emergency meeting of agency's board of governors after the US military strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has described the U.S. attacks on Iran as a dangerous escalation, warning that the conflict in the Middle East could quickly get out of control. In a social media post, he said it is a direct threat to international peace and security. He called on member states to de-escalate and to uphold their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law. He emphasized that there is no military solution and the only path forward is diplomacy. Iranian Foreign Minister Syed Abbas Araghchi has strongly condemned the United States after American forces, in coordination with Israel, carried out precision military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities. Earlier, in an address to the nation this morning, Trump described the strikes on Iran's nuclear site as a spectacular success. He said the objective of the attacks was to stop Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and put a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's number one state sponsor of terror.
Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity. I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has congratulated U.S. President Trump on his decision to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. He released a video praising Mr. Trump's decision to attack Iran, stating that it will change history. He further said, under Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things.
History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you.
Nepal and Sri Lanka have expressed gratitude to India for assisting in the evacuation of their citizens under Operation Sindhu from conflict-hit Iran. Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Vijita Herath has thanked the Indian government for its timely assistance in evacuating Sri Lankan nationals from Iran alongside Indian citizens. Calling it a thoughtful act, Herath said, "The gesture reflects the deep bonds and enduring partnership between Sri Lanka and India." Meanwhile, a total of 1,117 Indian nationals have been evacuated from Iran so far. The Ministry of External Affairs has reported that 290 of them returned home safely last night on a special flight from Mashhad, which landed in New Delhi.
We all Indians are really thankful to the Indian government who had put this much effort. And plus the interesting thing was that they just opened that air base from Mashhad just for the Indian students, and that was really appreciable. Thank you.
बहुत अच्छा महसूस कर रहे हैं अपने वतन में आके। यहाँ की भी गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत अच्छा किया, वहाँ भी लोगों ने किया, और मैं तो धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ अपनी एम्बेसी को, जो वहाँ लोग बेचारे हमारे पीछे दिन रात लगे रहे, और हमारी मोदी सरकार का जिंदाबाद।
Thank you India and thank you Indian Embassy. They helped us a lot in every situation. They were with us in every situation. All credit goes to them.
This is Akashvani giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our X handle at AIR News Alerts. And for details of stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and download the News on AIR app. In a major breakthrough in the Pahalgam terror attack case, the National Investigation Agency (NIA) has arrested 2 men for allegedly harbouring the terrorists who carried out the attack. In a statement, the NIA said that the 2 men, Parvez Ahmed Jothar from Buttkot and Bashir Ahmed Jothar from Hill Park, have disclosed the identities of the 3 armed terrorists involved in the incident. The agency further stated that the accused confirmed the terrorists were Pakistani nationals affiliated with the proscribed terrorist outfit Lashkar-e-Taiba. According to the NIA, Parvez and Bashir had knowingly sheltered the 3 terrorists at a seasonal hut in Hill Park prior to the attack. Both men have been arrested under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. India has undergone a decade of remarkable transformation driven by the principles of Seva, Sushasana and Garib Kalyan. Akashvani News brings you a special feature on the government's efforts over the last 11 years across key sectors. Today, we focus on India's energy revolution, a decade of bold reforms, record capacity additions, and a strong push for clean, reliable, and inclusive power.
Over the past decade, India's power sector has witnessed robust growth driven by rising demand, major infrastructure development and strong policy support for both conventional and renewable energy sources. As of June 2025, the nation's total installed power capacity has reached 476 gigawatts, with nearly half of it from non-fossil fuel sources. With renewable energy alone contributing 226 gigawatts, India now ranks third globally in solar power and fourth in wind energy capacity. The country achieved 100% village electrification by April 2018 and has since connected more than 2.8 crore households to the grid. Power shortages have fallen from over 4% in 2014 to just 0.1% today, while per capita electricity consumption has surged by 45%. The PM Surya Ghar Yojana is lighting up homes across the country, while the PM Kusum scheme is empowering farmers with solar-powered irrigation. The wind energy sector has more than doubled, and capacities in hydropower, biomass and nuclear energy continue to grow steadily. At the same time, India's coal sector has been modernized to enhance self-reliance and sustainability, achieving record production levels and significantly reducing import dependency. From the National Green Hydrogen Mission to the International Solar Alliance, India is not just meeting its energy needs, it is leading the way toward a cleaner, greener future. With Vishnu's report, Akshit Vaidyan, Akashvani News, Delhi.
विकसित भारत का अमृत काल, सेवा, सुशासन, गरीब कल्याण के 11 साल.
In Ladakh, the Sarhad Shauryathon 2025 was held today at the historic Kargil War Memorial in Dras. The event was organized by the Indian Army in collaboration with Sarhad Foundation and the local civil administration of Kargil. The marathon, witnessing the enthusiastic participation of over 2,500 athletes from across the country, was flagged off by the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde. Bangladesh, China and Pakistan held an informal trilateral meeting on the sidelines of the 9th China-South Asia Exposition and the 6th China-South Asia Cooperation Meeting in Kunming on Thursday. A Bangladesh Foreign Ministry's press release issued last night said Bangladesh former Acting Foreign Secretary Mohammad Ruhul Alam Siddiqui, Chinese Vice Foreign Ministers Sun Weidong and Pakistani Additional Foreign Secretary Imran Ahmad Siddiqui led their respective delegations in the meeting. The 11th International Day of Yoga was celebrated in Qatar with enthusiastic participation from over 1,000 people, bringing together members of the Indian community and yoga practitioners in a vibrant display of unity and well-being. Organized by the Indian Embassy in collaboration with the Indian Sports Centre, the event took place at Ideal Indian School in Doha. Moving on to the world of sports, in Test cricket, England will resume their first innings from 209 for 3 against India on day 3 of the first match of Anderson Tendulkar Trophy at Headingley this afternoon. We have more from our sports desk.
After India bowled out for 471 runs, England faced an early breakthrough from Jasprit Bumrah, who dismissed Zach Crowley. However, Oli Pope and Ben Duckett built a partnership and carried the innings forward. Pope's unbeaten turn is keeping the hopes alive for the hosts, while Jasprit Bumrah is also on fire, who bagged all 3 wickets yesterday. Now Pope and Harry Brook will resume England's innings on day 3. Moving ahead, Canada has officially qualified for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026, which will be hosted by India and Sri Lanka. They sealed their spot after a dominant victory over the Bahamas in the Americas qualifier, which marks their 5th consecutive win in the tournament. In tennis, India's Maya Rajeshwaran clinched the women's singles ITF J200 Gladbach title in Germany. The 16-year-old Rajeshwaran defeated Switzerland's Noela Manta in the final. This triumph marks her maiden ITF junior title on European clay. In football, the Indian under-23 men's national team played out a goalless draw with Kyrgyz Republic in an international friendly in Tajikistan last night. This follows their narrow 2-3 defeat to Tajikistan on Wednesday. The two friendlies were part of India's preparations for the AFC Under-23 Asian Cup qualifiers and 2026 Asian Games. With Mayur Jain, Chirag Jha, Sports Desk.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Iran condemns U.S. military attack on its nuclear facilities as a grave violation of international law and United Nations Charter. International Atomic Energy Agency to hold an emergency meeting tomorrow in the light of the urgent situation in Iran. Says as of now, there has been no rise in radiation levels following U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Israel and Iran exchanged fresh missile attacks on each other. Sri Lanka and Nepal thank Indian government for assisting in evacuating their nationals from Iran under Operation Sindhu. NIA arrests 2 persons for harbouring terrorists involved in Pahalgam terror attack. And in cricket, England to resume their first innings at the overnight score of 209 for 3 at Headingley this afternoon. And with that, we end the midday news.